It's Tuesday today, Tuesday, June 16th, and I hope to have, this at least, what I've just said, plus a few other things. I've talked about the garlic and so on. By Friday, have something for you. Update on how I'm feeling too, how it's going. Now, I haven't answered your comments yet, but I've read them and I'm gonna answer them. I'd like to express my gratitude at all the support and all the advice and all the ideas you've given me. I really appreciate it. It really touched my heart, and I'd like to thank you for that. And I'm actually going to use this at the beginning of my video, and so anyway, I've got a few things to talk about today. So if you're interested, then let's get started. It's June 16th today, and while I'm cutting my garlic scapes, I count them while I cut them. Why do I count them? Because each garlic scape I cut, it means that's going to be a garlic that's going to grow to full size. And it also helps me find out really how many garlic grew. So for example, so far before today, I already cut 150 of them. The first day 75, the second day 75, and now today, the third day, I think I didn't do any yesterday. I'm up to 60 for today, and so now I'm up to a total of 152, 210. I'm going to keep going. I've got probably just over between 500 and 550 garlics here. So it'll take me a few more days before I get to there. And also, another advantage of cutting your garlic scapes, not only because you can eat these, make a pesto out of them, or eat them raw like you've seen me do, but they make your garlic bulbs will grow bigger if you cut these off, because they don't put all their energy into growing their little miniature bulbs, which you can use as well and grow. But also, the leek moth lays its eggs very often in the garlic scape as it starts to grow, and then the little worm, the little larva, makes its way down the garlic scape and all the way down to the garlic bulb, and then it can eventually eat your garlic bulb or part of it, or damage it anyway. And so I'll show you what that looks like in the garlic scape anyway, what it looks like, the leek moth. The leek worm will lay its eggs at the very top of the plant when the garlic scape is coming out. And so when you remove the garlic scape, you're removing the leek worm as well. And so when you're removing your garlic scapes, check them for the leek worm, because you may not want to eat a garlic scape that's got the leek worm in it. But that way you're removing the leek worm from the plant, because eventually it will start eating the plant and make its way down to the bulb. So by removing the scape, you're removing the leek worm. As you can see, the scape isn't empty. It isn't what it's called. What do it look like? It doesn't look like a straw. It hasn't been emptied out. It hasn't been bored through yet, which means the worm is still up here. See that? But all of these ones are the healthy ones. The other ones I've got in my bin there, my pail there. So I'm going to continue. Today I did 100. They're now all in the pail. Bring them in, cut them into slightly smaller pieces so they're not so curly. Stick them in a bag, remove the air from the bag, and put them in the freezer. And these ones here are the ones that have the leek moth in them. Now, this week, it's not going to be a really long video, I don't think anyway. We'll see how much time I have to edit. I'm feeling a little better. It's Tuesday today, so this is now I think it's my 6th day on the antibiotics, and the pains have been reduced by half, if not 2/3, and I'm finally sleeping at night, which is really good. Last night I slept 6 hours straight. Slept 2 hours and a half, and then woke up and then slept another 6 hours straight. So that's going good. Now the thing is, as you can see, pretty well everything's planted in the garden, and it's looking really nice. I'm in the center here, and I've got a whole bunch of video material that I was just too tired to. I ran out of space on my phone, so I'm back. So I don't know how much you saw, but there it is. So the thing is, I've got a whole bunch of material that I need to look at. I mean, I do want to start giving you unedited videos, but I mean, sometimes there's just some noise that's just too much or whatever. I just I do like to check them. If I even if I don't edit them, I like to check them fully before putting them on. And so anyway, so I've got all this material that shows you how we've gotten to here, because the pretty well everything is now in. But this spring, I really wanted to show all the details of the process, and that's why I've been doing these long videos where I'm just sitting and gardening and talking to you, and you're seeing different things, and so I want to show all that. So you're gonna, you know, in upcoming videos, you're gonna see some stuff that's before this, and I hope that's okay by you. You know, it's gonna be kind of the season's gonna be later than what it's showing, but so there you go. It's I think you pretty well saw a whole panoramic view of our sun garden. If you've removed your garlic scape and you've noticed that, not like here it's fine, but if you notice that beyond the first leaf, or right up to the first leaf, you can see evidence that the leek worm has gone past the first leaf. Like right here, you see, I could see that there was the vine borer was the leek worm has gotten all the way to the first leaf right there, and so, and in fact, so then I cut a little bit more of the plant, including the first leaf, and I looked at the inside, and it's fine here. So the leek worm hadn't reached this far yet, so I caught it before it got any further down. Now this one is very odd. It's not curly, it's got this color to it. I'm gonna check this one out, see what this is. I'm gonna remove the why. I'm gonna remove them like I remove all of them. Don't know what's going on here. Nothing boring into it, looks like. But yeah, something going on there. Now to transplanting watermelon in leafy mulch. Okay, I want to give you an idea of how I'm doing this. Got all these leaves covering this whole area, and so I just pull some. There are no weeds whatsoever, and usually this thing is full of weeds by the time my watermelon are somewhat grown. I'm just pushing all the weeds all the way over to the side here by the fence where there's the most weeds. I'm just leaning over the little fence here. And the earth is so soft because of all the soil work I've done over the last few years. It's really nice. I can just dig the hole with my hand here. Okay, dig it deep enough that the whole bit of a pot can go in there. I'm gonna grab my watering wand. I'm gonna put water in the bottom of the hole. Nice amount of it. Flood the bottom of that little hole there. And then transplant my watermelon into it. There's the watermelon. June 11th today. I'd like to have this kind of thing done by the 15th. Have my cucumbers to do, and the huckleberries, sweet potatoes. There we go. All done. Give it a bit of water. And I'm gonna leave the leaves away from the plant for now while it's yet tender like this, because I don't want them to break any of the leaf tissue or the stem tissue, which they can do because leaves are stiff. But then when the plant is established, I'll move the leaves in a bit closer to keep the weeds away from the plant as well. There we go. Here's the one I just planted. There's what the camera was being held up by, that round roll of green wire there. sitting on top of my glasses case and green wire was holding it in position. Yeah, I just have one left in this little area here. A total of 10 plants. And I'm gonna let them grow up on the fence and out of the fence and fill all this space in between, all here and also just around the outside here. Might seem like a lot of plants for this small area, but they're gonna sprawl and they're gonna sort of grow outward. So the last one's gonna be right around where the tray is. There, this area's all done. Just gonna pull this fence back up over these stakes and you know, get them to hold in place just through pressure at the tops of these stakes. Maybe use a bit of wire to hold it in place. You can see there's a fair amount of leaves. And now it's this side to do. Here, I believe the leaves are a little bit thicker. Yeah, a bit thicker. That's okay. Just more leaves around the side. There's also a lot more weed pressure around the side, so that's okay. Those leaves are gonna really help. And there's the second bed of the 10 plants. The leaves were so thick on this side that I put them all off to the side and kind of stuffed them down the side because the weed pressure on this side is heavier. The soil was really, really soft and no weeds, which is really, really nice. There's this side. It's a little bit different, but and those leaves are so thick that the rain takes a longer time to get through, but with the areas that have no leaves, that's where the water's all gonna go. June 12th today, we've had a little bit of rain. Big, huge rain, actually short but strong yesterday, which the garden really need. Look at these lettuce. Beautiful, the lettuce and carrots at the base of the tomatoes. I've been slowly picking all the green ones that were between these, the green lettuces. And so I've been freeing up these red ones. Plus I've been freeing up these Boston type lettuces, which are really, really nice. What I've been harvesting are the romaines because they're the ones that are ready faster. Look at all, but then I'm letting these things get heads. Really, really nice. Tomatoes have reacted well. Our citron melons are blooming. Our winter watermelons, June 12th. Very nice. Those were test seeds that I planted sometime in March or February or something. These ones were planted later. The little green cabbage are doing well. I've been taking better care of this area, keeping the weeds down, using my little hoe. The carrots and onions are doing really well on June 12th. We're hiding that little sign, which is kind of cute. Usually by now the weeds have gotten all bigger, sort of like this bindweed here. They've all gotten much bigger than the onions, but Magali did a really good job keeping on top of this. So all you can really see at the bottom are carrots now, which is really nice. It's quite beautiful. They're doing better here than out back in the compost garden, which is probably a hotter, drier garden, ironically. Simply because of its position. The position of this one is in a wetter spot. So next year, this is going to be the spot. Probably going to do watermelon in the compost garden next year. And where I put the watermelon back there is going to be native wildflowers. Our beets and Swiss chard always get this sort of discoloration on the leaves. I don't know, it's some kind of fungus or whatever, but it never affects the actual growth of the plant or of the beets. So I always leave it alone. It's just not very pretty because I find both beets and Swiss chard very pretty plants. However, this huckleberry's been sitting here for a few days. I'm gonna be planting, there are 10 pots here. I'm not planting them all here. Probably only have room for about 4 or 5 in this little area left over from the beets and not far from the tomatoes. And right over there is going to be the cucumbers. I get that space ready today. Whenever I see the grapes starting to wander, I just put them back up on the wire and have them start growing in the direction that I'd like them to grow. I like this type of work. It's easily done, like physically, I mean. So this one, I'm just gonna hook it up and have it continue growing that way, because that whole area, I'd like to have it full of grapes and to connect up with those grapes over in the corner. Here we, oops, I'm not even filming. You see what I did? I did this, I wrapped it around in a spiral, and now I'm just gonna put this through here. Seems like a little, and then it'd be held in place by the other vine. There we go. Here's another one here. Do the same thing. Just pull it up, feed it through here like a thread through a needle, and here we are. It should stay now. This one will be next, but I'll wait. On 12th, I've been watching these 2 loofah blooms. Let's see if these loofahs hold. Our green cabbage seed is coming along. It's all potted up now. Now I'm just gonna wait for the pods to dry up. June 12th, it's been a couple days since I sowed the squash and pumpkins. We got a nice heavy, short but very heavy rain yesterday. It was extremely hot yesterday too, went up to 42 degrees Celsius out here, and that was in the shade. I have no idea what it was in the sun. And after a hot day like yesterday, and it got rained on at the end of the day, and basically the rain cooled things off a little, but not that much. And then it's another hot sunny day today, but there's a lot of humidity now in the soil because it was a heavy rain. I expect these pumpkins and squash will sprout tomorrow, some of them anyway. The ones that are most in a hurry, we'll see. We'll see if my prediction comes true. Here are the onions and garlic. The onions, and here are the onions and carrots by comparison, same day. We actually haven't had to weed this as much. It's just that the soil is very shallow because beneath it is all the compost from the winter. And so that's probably slowing things down a little bit for these guys, but it also provides a lot of moisture for them and nutrients likely as well. It's just probably a little hot for them in there too. However, we'll see as the season continues how this goes. But like I said, next year, I think these watermelon are gonna be in there, and in these 2 little beds, I'm gonna remove these fences, and it's gonna be like a little wildflower, native wildflower prairie. Native herb and native wildflower prairie in here. I didn't record when I transplanted these. At least I don't think I did. When I transplanted these broccoli and cauliflower into here. It was already, they were getting stressed in their little pots, and I wasn't sure where to put them, so I decided to put them here. We're just along the edge of this little mini pond with the cattails. There's not a whole lot of soil here. I dig down, but it's mostly like just hard, woody, organic matter. And so I had to make these tiny little holes and squeeze the little root balls of the 4-inch pots that I planted my cabbage and broccoli in. Sorry, my cauliflower and broccoli in. Just squeeze those into the little holes. So it wasn't the most ideal situation. And as you can see, these were stressed enough that some of them have already started to flower. Well, one of them right here. I'm going to remove this stem and encourage this little guy to grow back from the bottom. See what's going on top of this little chinampa. The air was struggling along, but it's gonna make it. Got a bean growing there. Got the Virginia creeper, like I said, that would survive, and it did. And then a whole bunch of potatoes. Got all these potatoes all over the place, which is normal and logical. A whole ton of them. More Virginia creeper there, and then over there, got some sorghum growing. I might throw a little bit of corn seed on top of this, see if it grows. Got a little mini dried cob from I don't know how long ago. I'm just gonna broadcast these on top. I'm not even gonna work them in. Just crush them and they'll just fall Don't walk on the potatoes. There we go. We'll see if they grow. There's more here. Well done. You can barely see them, but they're there. With the rain, they'll work their way into this a little bit of soil. Maybe they'll grow. Oh, there's some buckwheat there, and either a sunflower or a watermelon. Here's another wild garden. I did the same thing as what you just saw, but it looks like some of the corn sprouts have been eaten. All the ones in the middle, but all these along the sides are growing. And then over here, we got some corn growing there too. I'm gonna throw some bean and some squash seed in there, and I'm just throwing it in. It'll do what it wants. The cabbage on the Chinampa here, it's doing well. I'm just gonna pull this jewelweed back, and actually I'm gonna use it as like comfrey, as a mulch. It doesn't have deep roots, but it's got a lot of water, so I'm gonna use it as a mulch for the cabbage. Keep this cool, this area cool and wet. Here's another one. Here's some more. There's some mustard here too. I'm gonna use that as well. Yep. Shade the bottoms of these cabbages. Shade their roots. There we go. Nice. Cabbage and dill, all doing well. There we go. A lot more where that came from. That's doing real well. And now let's see how this is doing in this area. We've got some squash growing and some corn. You see that? But I don't think I've planted beans here yet, so I'm going to do that today at the base of these teepees. Yeah, a whole bunch of squash and corn already growing. That's really nice. Oh, I do see I put a bit of, yeah, well, no, those are squash seeds, and the squash is growing. So now I'm going to put some beans. Pulled the weeds away, well, mostly Virginia creeper and some grass and some jewelweed, and I see there's at least one bean growing, so I guess I did put some bean seed here, or maybe it just fell from up top. And so, but I'm gonna add a bit more. Here's another bean right in the middle. So I'm gonna be gentler because there are already plants growing. A few beans in there. Actually, there's too many for that one. I don't have that many left on me. Let's push these in the soil just a little, gently. There you go. I'll take a few of these and put them here. Another one. Push these in the soil. Push this squash that's growing there in the soil. Nice. All done for the main Chinampa garden for today. I can't get over how beautiful these cabbages look here. And the dill. It's actually, this dill is bigger than the dill in the main garden. Wow. Just to give you an idea where everything's situated, here's where the water arrives when it arrives. And then we got the main Chinampa, the cabbage and dill, with the three sisters here. And then going over to our second Chinampa that I just finished building this year. And then over here, this is sort of a hybrid Chinampa because it's very wet here too. So I did put some branches down here, and we got the three sisters here too that I just showed you. And then we take our path, go through the path, so now you're going to get an idea of what it looks like. Maybe it'd be easier if you look, you know, the path falling behind me, so hold on. I'll go. Ah, it's cool under here. Very cool. It's a real jungle in here. Now we're heading toward the turtle garden. Here's one of our big sycamore trees I just passed. It's behind me that I planted almost to the turtle garden. Hold on. Oh, Another nice dark cool spot. Oh, beautiful. Okay, it's a real jungle in here, especially after the rain. Okay, now I'm gonna turn the camera around again. Let's just go through here. Gotta trim some of this stuff. It's hard to get through. And then here, right in the middle of the bush. The house is over that way in the front, where in front of the house, but closer to the street, is all over that way. And I just came from the back. There, more of a bird's eye view. Well, I see those trees are just behind the house, those big tall trembling aspens. I'm going to save an update on the turtle garden for a later video, because I had to cut something out in order to fit this one into an hour. I love taking walks, seeing how the gardens are doing in different areas. Next year it's gonna be a little different though. I'm gonna perennialize everything. Well, everything that's not in the main garden, or most of it. It's not right by the house and it's not by the main garden or whatever. But, I had a video about that's coming up. I haven't started it yet. I've just dropped hints. And it's not because of the Lyme, because I've been talking to you about this for a while. In fact, I mentioned in a previous video, I don't know if I published it yet, that I was planning on doing what I'm going to do for next year. I was planning on doing it this year. But there's a special reason why I decided not to, which you'll find out soon enough as well. Anyway, so I just had to, well, okay. Time to get back to work in the main garden. Transplanting more watermelon, transplanting cucumbers, transplanting huckleberry. Still got the ground cherries to transplant and more. June 12th, they finished putting in the watermelon. The rest of it's out back, as you've already seen, along with red and green basil, Chinampas basil and purple basil. The leaves that were here are now over here, up against the fence, keeping the weeds out of the garden. I still have lots of garlic scapes I've got to cut. And I'm keeping an eye on the potatoes for the potato bugs and for the new potatoes to start growing. The loofah has taken well. We've got some loofah that is starting, and I've still got some backups just in case. The cucumbers are now in, bordered by marigolds on either end. And garlic, that's perennialized. A little bit of calendula. I might put some more marigolds along the front here if I feel I've got enough space. I think so, because I can just trim all this. This is mostly weeds anyway. And then of course on the behind the cucumbers is onions and carrots. So the cucumbers are well accompanied to keep the cucumber beetles away. And finally, the huckleberry. Got all the huckleberry in just at the end here that was left over after I'd put in all my beets. Got a whole bunch of, got 10 plants in, 2 there, 1 there, one there, the little spaces that were left over, and 2, 4, 6 in this area. The garden is coming together. Soon I'll do an update. Probably around the 21st of June, the solstice. Things are looking good. They're finally all getting in. The thing you can't see are the peppers and the watermelon way out front there. You see some peppers there. It's June 13th today. One of the last areas of our sun garden. Right here, right beside the cattle panels, where the hog panels, where I've got the loofah. Here, I'm going to put some vegetarian peppers. What does that mean? They are non-spicy, but spicy flavored peppers from Guadeloupe. So they look like spicy peppers. They look like habanero pepper, that kind of thing, but they're not spicy. But they have that that distinctive flavor of those peppers without actually the spiciness. That's what I'm going to plant here, along with some sweet potatoes. But look at how nice that soil has turned out. All I did was remove the leaves. Some of them are still in the wheelbarrow over there. A lot of them I've hilled up those potatoes with. The rest I'm going to hill up some of the others. There's not enough to do the whole potato patch, but that's fine. I'll hill some of it up. Next year I'll make sure to keep more of my leaves for those potatoes, because those leaves are really useful for hilling them up. But here, have a look at this. Look at this soil. So I just took the leaves off, and look at that, how easy that is to just dig into. No tilling needed. Sure, I had to take out a few, let's say, weeds that were white like this, you see, because they hadn't managed to grow through the leaves because the leaves were so thick. And so they were really easy to pull. You know, look, here's one. But you see, they hadn't managed to grow, so they were easy to take off. And so this is going to be very easy to plant into. And the soil is actually, it's moist, somewhat moist, and there's some more roots there that were easy to pull up. You see that? Look at that. Because the soil this is sow thistle root. There's a ton of it in here. But because the soil was so loose, because of all those leaves, there was a ton of worms in here under the leaves, eating away at those leaves. Look, here's one right here. Okay, let's get you covered up there. Good. All right. So, yeah, it was a very nice process. Makes it so easy. This is what I do instead of using that black landscaping fabric or the black plastic. And, you know, I reuse the leaves. So they're there to keep the weeds down fall, winter, and spring, and keep the soil moist, get the animals to, the insects, the bacteria, the bugs, and so on, the worms, and all the other animals, even the rodents, to work the soil for us, and the moles. And we come and remove the leaves, and it's all ready. See, look at that worm saying, hey, suddenly the soil got warm. Where am I going to go? Let's cover that worm up. There we go. Now, go down below. You know where the below is from above. All right. The essence of no-till. You still need to have some kind of what you might call sheet mulch. Well, for us, the sheet mulch are the leaves. Pick them up in the fall. People are always raking their leaves. I make sure I pick up some bags full of just with leaves in them. Get as many as I can. Cover as much of the garden I can, as thick of a layer as I can. And then in the spring I pull them off because they're too thick to plant in for the most part. And then I use them elsewhere, or I use them in place. Really useful. Here are my vegetarian peppers. Now this tall one here in the front is the cayenne, I think, but all the others are the vegetarian peppers. And you know, they're from the same batch of peppers as all these, which I planted. I think I transplanted them a week and a half ago. It's the 13th today, and I think I transplanted them around the 3rd or the 4th of June. Can't remember exactly, but I've got it on video. So these have been sitting a long time in these pots, these little cells. Well, they're not tiny cells, they're pretty good. And they've been sitting way back there in the corner behind the peas. The peas have been shading them. Here, I'll show you. They've been sitting back here behind all these peas. This area gets shade as of about 1:30 in the afternoon, but even before that, these would get shade from these peas. So there's some leftover Auxilio peppers and some sweet chocolates. June 13th, I'm transplanting my sweet potato. The main one that was in this bin, I'm gonna put it right here beside the loofah, but it's not gonna grow towards the loofah because it's gonna grow towards the south. And so it's gonna grow towards these cabbages, and it's gonna grow, like the vines will be under the cabbages and so on. And it might cross the row and grow under those potatoes, which would be fine too. Or on top of the potatoes, which would be fine too. I'm actually gonna put some more sweet potatoes in there. But this big one I'm putting right here. I'm putting right here, right beside my vegetarian peppers, beside the loofah, beside the cabbage. I've prepared the hole already. It's got some warm water in there, about the same temperature as the seed mat that it was on for the longest time indoors. And I'm just going to transplant this whole bin in there. Now I've got all the slips that are rooted, I'm going to put some of them under the tomatoes over there, and some of them inside the potato patch over there. And if I have any other holes to fill, I'll put more sweet potatoes in other places too. Well, here we are. My hole's right here. You can't really see it, but you can hear it. Okay, let's see how this goes. Hope it all comes out. There are 2 potatoes in here. Hope they all come out in one piece. I'm putting them all together. They grew together, they're staying together. Okay, looks good. There we go. Looks like my hole is just big enough. Yeah, hold on. There. Okay, just put that right in the bottom there. Get all the, I'm not worried if I bury some of these vines, because they're vines, they'll sprout more roots. It's usually what vines do. I'm sure sweet potato vines are just like any others. Well, you saw it. They are that way. You saw the slips. Slips were vines. They sprouted roots along their leaf nodes. There we go. All snug in there. There we are. All done. The reason why I waited an extra 10 days before transplanting these vegetarian peppers is you can just see by the quality of the plant, like it's a different style plant, let's say, than the regular peppers. It's I guess even more of a tropical plant, and so they were really undeveloped when I transplanted the others. They were very not ready for transplanting, but now they were very ready, even more ready than the other peppers for transplanting. So the timing is good. They really needed the hot weather, and well, we've got it. Just like the sweet potatoes need the hot weather. This is not late at all on June 13th for transplanting all these guys. Now I'm transplanting one of the slips right in here with the peppers. We're going to shade the soil around the peppers. So let's have a look and see what it looks like in there. Very nice. Could probably use more time hardening off, but those are good healthy roots. Nice tall plant too. Planted it good and deep. Need some water now. There was water in there, of course. Now I'll get some more. Don't have to disturb it too much. Try not to wet the leaves on the sunny days. Oy! Don't do it too strong yet either. Turned it up instead of turning it off. Okay. Let's do the other one. This one here, it's a little smaller. Water in the hole. We'll see how they do around these peppers. I'm planting some around the peppers, as you saw, some around the tomatoes, and some around the potatoes. They don't really have their own spot. This, you might say, is their own spot, because these peppers they're not our main ones. Magali's main vegetarian peppers. She's the one. She's going to plant those in a certain spot. Save some for her. They're leftover pepper plants. I think they're going to do well though with these sweet potatoes. Don't let the sweet potato climb on top of them. Stay under them. There we go. All done. All done. This area is all done. I'd say there's a lot of plants close to each other, but I prefer that than to have to weed. Because if I put them too much space, then there's going to be weeds growing in between them. And at some point, there's just no more time to weed. So here's a sweet potato that I planted in amongst our potatoes a few days ago. In the area where I planted some newer potatoes because there was a lot of space. They're starting to come up, like right here. The others are getting pretty big already. In this area, the potatoes are just starting to push through all this mulch. There's still some big spaces, so I'm going to put a couple of sweet potatoes in here as well. They're actually good potatoes and sweet potatoes because they're not in the same family. They make good companions. The sweet potatoes are going to be a ground cover, so that any potatoes that are close to the surface and aren't covered by the mulch, they'll be covered by the sweet potato vines, and so they won't get exposed to the sun. I don't know what you can see here, but stay up. South thistle in here. There's that. Okay. South thistle. Everywhere. I'm wondering if all the lettuce I used to have, if it's south thistle, what lettuce turns into when it goes back to the wild state. I don't know. Anyway. Regular potato going here. Okay. Another regular potato right here. Another one looks like right here coming up. That's good. Don't mind planting these sweet potatoes close to them. Right here, close to the hole, because they're going to grow that way, which is south. And they're going to fill, hopefully, the potato patch. Okay. There it is. Just going to slip that into that little hole. Put the earth back in. Water it, and then I'll put the mulch back on. Yeah, it is a little warm, but that's okay. Sweet potato likes the warmth. It's not boiling. And then put this mulch back at its base. Alright, next, over here, you'll probably be able to see this a little more right about here. I'll find a spot where there's no potatoes growing up. I see a whole bunch of them starting to grow up now. They like it. You can see that. Find a spot where there's nothing. There's nothing right here. Okay, we'll take out the south thistle roots. Pop this. There, can you see? Okay, let's put some water in the hole. I think I put water in the other hole, but anyway, doesn't matter. Test the temperature. Yeah, just like when it was on the heat mat, about the same temperature. Okay, not too many roots on these, but there are roots in there. Okay, that'll be fine. Soil's good and warm. Get the mulch back on here. Give it another water. And off we go. There's that sweet potato. There's another potato just coming up that just pushed through the mulch. There's another one that just pushed through the mulch, and there's the other sweet potato. There's another one over here somewhere. Oh, there it was, the one that I cleared up. So yeah, if I had just taken a sweet potato and stuck it in the ground, actually I still have one, maybe I'll try that. I probably wouldn't see it growing until close to the end of July. We'll see. You know what? I'm gonna go get it and put it somewhere. Put it somewhere where there's nothing else growing. It doesn't even have hasn't even sprouted yet. I just kept it as a backup. The advantage of all these new potatoes that I just planted is the bugs have been active now for a couple of weeks, and they've been really doing a piece of work on all these potatoes. But I've been watching them and I've been pulling them off, and I still have to pull more off. But the ones that are just coming up might end up being free of them for the most part. They might have done all their damage by then and moved on, gotten eaten. Here's one right here, potato bug. These are the little hatched potato bugs. I guess the nymphs or whatever you want to call them. They've hatched from the seeds, from the eggs, the little yellow orange eggs. I just pull the whole leaf off like that, because they've damaged it, and it's going to take the plant a lot of energy to try and repair that leaf. And so I just pull the whole leaf off, and I just crush the whole leaf like that. I thank the little thing for its energy, and then it goes back to the soil. And that's it. Sometimes the potato bugs don't even lay their eggs on the potato leaves. This is a sow thistle leaf. Those two sweet potatoes, our last two slips. Actually, no, we have two more backup ones still outside the greenhouse. But these two I've planted at the base of, on the east side of our tomatoes, under the east row. And they're going to grow, actually that's the sort of the, well, they're going to grow towards, basically, they are going to grow that way. Sort of across that space between the two rows of tomatoes and towards the end, which is the south. The end is south. So they're going to grow south, southeast, for the most part. Let's put these sticks back up, which I took down to be able to have access to the plant. Tie them again. There we go. These things I will change positions as needed as I see how the tomatoes grow. That's why these towers are convenient. You can just place sticks on them. These stakes here, I'm going to attach other sticks to them with screws as the tomatoes grow. The north of the tomatoes, just in front of some of these peas, I've got this winter watermelon, citron melon, which is going to grow towards the south, towards the tomatoes, and also fill in that whole space along with the sweet potatoes. June 14th, Sunday. I was off by a day, maybe two, but the squash and pumpkins are sprouting. June 14th. Just to show you how adapted to almost any situation grains are. Grasses. This is barley. It's been in these little tiny cells for 6 weeks. Long enough that it's gonna start flowering pretty soon and start making its grain from here. And it's been sitting in the garden. And now I'm actually going to transplant it in the next couple days. But anyway, these were just a few extra plants, and I didn't know where to put them. Well, I got an idea where I can put them, and we'll see what happens with them. But look at how they've survived. Anyway. It's June 15th today, and I want to show you something interesting back here. We got I'm weeding my sorghum and barley area here and millet area. And in the front there's the barley, the tallest ones. In the middle there's the millet and the dwarf sorghum, which are the second tallest right now. And in the back are the popping sorghum and I think Oh, coral sorghum, popping sorghum and coral sorghum in the back. And they're the shortest right now. But what's interesting is when they're all full grown, it's going to be the opposite. The popping and the coral is going to be the tallest. The dwarf sorghum and the foxtail millet will be the second tallest, and then the barley will be the shortest. It's kind of funny how that's working out right now. Got some nigella in there and some cayenne peppers. Separated the cayenne peppers from the rest of them so they don't spice up our other peppers. Their seeds anyway. In case you were wondering why sow thistle is so resilient, this is the type of root that it spreads, sends these runners out, and you can see the little sprouts there. And so when I pick the weeds, it's just pulling these things, it's not pulling this thing. Anyway, it's something else, this plant. Look at these. These 3 sprouts ready to be eaten, just have to wash them. Anyway, I wonder if this part is edible. I have no idea if I can do anything with this part. I have tons and tons and tons of these roots. In my backup sweet potato, I just took out of this paper bag. It was sitting in the kitchen. It was in the garage for a while. It's June 16th today. And it finally sprouted after all this time. I'm actually going to go and plant this in the greenhouse to see if it grows, or see how well it grows in there. It's not the ideal conditions because there's a lot of gravel under the greenhouse, but we'll see. The west side of the greenhouse here is the side with no gravel. So I just made a little hole here. I'm just gonna put this in. I'll put it near the surface, and if I have to add soil on top and hill it up, I'll do that. I don't want to plant it deep, and I want this little shoot to be out of the soil. I'm just going to cover everything up. At the base of my tomatoes here, it's going to be like a ground cover here in the greenhouse, and it's certainly going to be a lot warmer in the greenhouse here, a lot longer than outdoors. Should be able to have this continue to grow right up until November. We'll see. We'll see what happens. There we go. Let's give it some water. See these side shoots? Most heirloom corn will do these side shoots at the base. And here's why I don't remove them. Because I know they're there for a purpose. They don't rob enough energy from the plant for it to be worth it to remove them. Because corn is a real source of water for wildlife. And so look at that. I haven't put my buckets of water around my pumpkin patch yet, my Three Sisters patch. So an animal came and chewed on this corn, completely removed it to get at its water and its juices. So this side shoot is now the main one. Keep your side shoots. These peas are getting a bit too tall for these trellises, so I'm cutting off the tops in hopes that they will grow more branches below. If there's a pea bloom for a pea to start forming, then I'll leave it on, like right here. Otherwise, I'm cutting them. They can go a little bit beyond the trellis. The thing is with my peas is they're open pollinated. I used to have all sorts of different varieties that grew to different heights, but then eventually they got all mixed up, and so I don't know, I didn't really distinguish my peas, my seeds, so I got all these different height trellises, but lots of peas that grow way taller than them. That's all right. Let's see if this works. And I eat all this stuff for supper tonight. They taste like snow peas, or sugar snap peas. Got our first ones forming here too. I hope they form them a little further down below. However, as I do this as well, the stems get stronger. I don't mind them growing taller than the trellises, but if they grow like a good 3 feet taller than the trellises, they'll start to fall over. And then that's no fun. So we'll see what happens with these. All right, I think I've cut enough for today. This is the only trellis that needs cutting. For now, the other ones are all right. Saw a little bit of for the salad for supper. Bon appetit. Thank you very much for watching the video. Thank you for always being here with us. And once again, thank you for all your support. These videos mean a lot to me. You know, some people might say that this is just, it's all online, and you know, I'm not face to face with you guys or anything like that, but there's a community that we're building together here, you know, because we're exchanging ideas, we're exchanging advice, we're exchanging creativity, we're exchanging ways of multiplying life and abundance, and that's important. And so thank you for always being here. I'll be back soon with another video. Have a wonderful week. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Grasshopper.